Shalom. Apostle Harkman back at you with this truth, giving all praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua B'Shem Makakwadash. And I'm going to entitle this video, Why is DC so Roman? So I put in DC was built on Rome. And this is what came up. Well, I actually put in DC was builded on Rome, and showing results for DC was built on Rome. So like I said, this is what came up. I said, why is Washington DC so Roman? Hubble Creek in July 1st, 2021, Washington DC is separated from ancient Rome by an ocean, thousands of miles and about 1,600 years. But Rome dominates. Give me a second. Why is Washington, D.C. so Roman? And this is somewhat inspired by, I was inspired by a video that Apostle Ramla put up. I saw a couple of seconds here and there, jumped around. And so here I am making a video. So I'm pretty sure that was a good and educated, enlightening video. Look, this looks like you can see the architecture is Roman. And you can see that the architecture is that of Petra. Same architecture. Okay, let me see how much I can read into this. Okay, Washington, D.C. is separated from ancient Rome by an ocean, thousands of miles, and about 1,600 years, but Rome dominates Washington's agricultural character more than that of almost any major city. Now, all these states that you go to, these state capitals, they all look pretty much the same. They all have a Roman, they use Roman style or Edom style architecture with the pillars. You know what I'm gonna do? Let me do this. For a minute. Petra. Petra. I'm gonna go to images. You know what? Let me do this. There's a band called Petra, and they're all Petrites. Look at them. Petrites. That's the spirit. Petra is a famous architectural site in Jordan's southwestern desert where Edom is, where Edom was, dating to around 300 BC. It was a capital of the Nabateans kingdom. Access via a narrow canyon called El Sheikh. This is the Nabateans are Arabs. Arabs just mean mixed. Middle Eastern people. Okay, let me come over here. Let me go to images. Look at that. Same architecture as DC, same architecture as your state government, capitol buildings. Yeah, look at that. And if you get a closer shot, you'll see eagles. This was obviously built by Edomites. Trying to get one with the eagle. Let me see. This might be it. Trying to get a shot with the eagles on either side. Oh yeah, the Indiana Jones series. They filmed part of it in Petra. Trying to get a shot with the eagles. Look what it says, Petra Roman Theater. History location. Look at that, that's your amphitheater. Seemed like a Roman Colosseums and so forth. Same structure. The Romans descended from the Edomites. Look at the architecture. The Roman style pillars. Like I said, I can't find a picture close enough where it shows eagles. But anyway, let's come back. Bear with me for a minute. The hell? Okay. Washington, D.C. is separated from ancient Rome by an ocean, thousands of miles, and about 1,600 years. But Rome dominates Washington's architectural character more than that of almost any major city. A tour of Washington's most prominent landmarks makes it clear that the American city was the product of a deliberate concerted effort to emulate the capital of the Roman Empire. Let's look up the word emulate. I know what it means, but let me just see what the dictionary says. Emulate. Emulate definition. match or surpass, really to match a person or achievement. Yeah, Kobe wanted to be Jordan, and LeBron James wanted to be Jordan and Kobe. Let's see what Merriam-Webster has to say. F for Merriam-Webster. Inside joke. To strive to equal or excel. Imitate, especially to imitate by means of an emulator. To equal or approach equality with. A tour of Washington's most prominent landmarks makes it clear that the American city was the product of a deliberate, concerted effort to emulate the capital of the Roman Empire. Why is that? Because this is Rome all over again. Revelation 13, his deadly wound was healed. Why would a new nation that had just thrown off the British Empire to establish a republic model its capital on a long gone European empire? Because that's this empire coming back again. The answer to this question is one of the most fascinating tales in American history. It also is contemporary because of a controversial executive order signed by the former President Donald Trump to require perpetuation of the classic style in future federal buildings in Washington. Classic style meaning the Roman what do you call it? Architecture. And Trump, if Trump's not Nero Caesar, I don't know who Nero Caesar is. Federal buildings in Washington and federal courthouses nationwide, because this is the Roman system. And the image of the beast. Part of the image is their agriculture, their infrastructure, not the infrastructure, their architecture. The order's future is unknown under the current administration, but it illuminates the continuing influence of classical Roman architecture on American public buildings and monuments. Why? Because this is Rome all over again. Let's read a little bit more. The neoclassic movement. That influence began decades before the American Revolution in Europe as the neoclassical, meaning new classical, movement gathered steam and in reaction to the ornate vanity, extravagance, and autocracy, self-rule of French King Louis XIV court. Americans, which they came out of Rome any damn way, Roman part of the Roman Empire, province of Rome. Americans were far from the only opponents of autocratic kings, meaning self-rule, who lived in showy splendor on the labors of their subjects, slaves. You know, America, became great for the most part by their slaves, because you had people working for you and you don't have to pay them. All you got to do is feed them slop and put them in a slave quarter, you know, and get them out there to work by force. And you know what? You'll understand that when your ass is out in the field. The winds of political reform blew across Europe and into Asia as growing, modernizing countries. If you notice, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, if you go to these other nations like China, the Arab nations, they're not building buildings that, you know, look like the architecture of ancient Rome. Only in America. All your government capitals all have that same look. Most of them, if not all of them, government capitals. Reconsidered the basis on which they wanted to be governed. The Age of Enlightenment emphasized nature and simplicity that were the antithesis of elaborate royal courts, and the Industrial Revolution that was around the turn of the century, 1800s to the 1900s, stressed efficiency, invention, and science over hierarchy, meaning they spoke great words. Daniel 7, I mentioned that in my last video, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Discoveries of ancient Roman ruins such as Pompeii and Herculaneum in the same era sent explorers scurrying to those of other sites in search of ancient objects that aristocrats purchased to display in their homes. Some of these elite built new Roman style houses, because that spirit that's in them is a spirit of the ancient Romans going back 1600 to 2000 years ago and before. They stocked their libraries with books about the discoveries, many of which include drawings and etchings. Many went on grand tours of Italy, visiting museums, ancient sites, and Renaissance museums, as well as collecting antique souvenirs. These activities sparked an artistic and political movement called neoclassicism that came to dominate the new architecture as architects interpreted ancient Roman architects in their designs. So that's them. The Romans were so-called white. The people of this system are so-called white. You have so-called small hat scholars. Many of them say that the Romans descended from the Edomites. So let me, give me a second here. Oh, this is what I wanted to do. Let me come back. You know, this is the fulfillment of Revelation chapter 13. And behold, his deadly wound was healed. And that image, part of the image is their architecture. But the image is not a picture of Caesar Borgia. The image goes back to Rome. It says, people also ask, is Washington, D.C. based on Rome? The legacy of ancient Rome has exerted a powerful influence on town halls and parliamentary buildings around the world, and especially Washington, D.C.'s urban form and identity with its classically inspired architecture and political system, right? The political system is based upon the president, which he's known as the commander in chief. And the word commander is emperor. The Latin word commander is emperor. Look it up. It is evident that Washington's founders looked to Rome as a model. Thomas Jefferson, who was Secretary of State, wanted the building to be a replica of an ancient Roman temple. Why? Because this is the spirit of Rome all over again, the deadly wound being healed. When you go to Daniel, the 7th chapter, it speaks about the beast diverse from all the other beasts. And right after that, the beast before them. And right after that, the Lord coming back. Well, it was talking about the Roman Empire and the Roman Empire coming back as NATO, EU, but you had America and Canada was a part of NATO. That's your 7 heads, 10 horns, the beast. The woman that sat upon the beast is Babylon. There's a Thomas Jefferson, who was Secretary of State, wanted the building to be a replica of an ancient Roman temple. He suggested that it be modeled after the Roman Pantheon with a circular dome rotunda. Its design was intended to evoke the ideas that guided the nation's founders as they framed the new republic. Rome was known as a republic. Let me go to the Roman Pantheon. Not going to make this long. This is more receipts. More receipts. Okay, so let me go to images. Look at that. Look at that. Looks like you in Washington, D.C. Oh, you have an Obelix, and you got an Obelix in, I believe that's the largest man-made Obelix on the planet, which is the Washington Monument. And monument means you look at something and you remember something else. So what are you to remember? Egypt, Rome. Mainly Rome. But the Edomites are done away with, according to Vocab Malone, which he's clueless when it comes to prophecies, or the prophecies of the scriptures. What is building in Washington, D.C. is based on Roman architecture. Perhaps the single greatest, hard to read, example of these architectural styles is United States Capitol building, for which construction began in 1793. Thomas Jefferson wanted Congress housed in a replica of an ancient Roman temple. Why? Because this is Rome all over again. me see this. What was DC originally called? Okay, Columbia. The name Columbia, derived from explorer Christopher Columbus, was used during the American Revolution era as a patriotic reference of the United States. 1871, the territory of Columbia officially was named District of Columbia. Right, District of Columbia. Yep. DC means District of Columbia. What form of government was developed in ancient Rome? The Roman Republic described the period in which the city-state of Rome existed as a republican government from 509 BC to, and that's during the time of the Japhet, one of the earliest examples of representative democracy in the world. Rome is a hamlet in Washington. Rome is situated southeast of Wall and the southwest of Carterville. So there's a hamlet in DC called Rome. Let me try this one. Who ruled Rome before? Who ruled Rome before the Roman Republic was formed? They tell you the truth. The Etruscans, which are Japhet. It all began when the Romans overthrew their Etruscan conquerors in 509 BCE, centered north of Rome. The Etruscans had ruled over the Romans for hundreds of years. Once free, the Roman established a republic, a government in which citizens elected representatives to rule on their behalf, and that's the American, political system. So I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna give you one precept. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, represents the Greeks, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. To Russia, the beginning of your rulership was the Greeks, Alexander, and the bear represents Russia. That's going to be the end of your rulership. And his mouth as the mouth of a lion, that's Great Britain, and the dragon gave him his power and seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and that was Rome. All you got to do is read Revelation 17. And I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. How was his deadly wound was healed? By the birth of America. And it goes as far back as Christopher Columbus coming to the New World. Then you jump up into history, 1775, the Revolutionary War. A year later, the Declaration of Independence. And then years in the future, the coming together of the European nations, forming NATO and the EU. That's Rome all over again. The capital is so-called America down there in DC. But who pulls the strings? That comes out of Great Britain, the lion, in verse 2. It says, and I saw one of their heads as it was wounded to death. The Roman Empire died, and the Roman Empire was resurrected, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. The beast is that whole system. And they worship the dragon. The dragon is interchangeable with the word beast, which gave power unto the beast. The dragon, if you go to Revelation 12, it says a great red dragon. It's talking about the Roman Empire that came against the Israelites. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him because of their war machine. Now the poor nations are saying that they are strong now because of the great equalizer. You know me, I always go through this. I always go through, always going through the prophecies. When the time of the fulfillment of prophecies. So I'm gonna show you that the beast, the Roman Empire, is the image. I'm sorry. For a minute. So I put in the word image. It's in Revelation 13 5 times. 5 times, 4 times, whatever. Revelation 13 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, their technology, ultimately the MOTB, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And that's also talking about their war machine. It's technological now, high tech, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. So the image of the beast is not no Caesar Borgia. Caesar Borgia was not hit in the head, died, and came back to life. It's talking about the Roman Empire. So Bishop Nathaniel should stop teaching that nonsense. 15 verse, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and, in other words, they speak with their representatives, the president, the Congress, which are legislators, cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, because ultimately they're going to kill us. They're going to kill us. Because ultimately, if you worship the beast, then you got to take the charagma. When you go to Revelation 20, verse 4, it said that they saw them the saints being beheaded because they did not, succumb to the charagma. And most of you, the majority of the people in the world are going to take it, mainly in America, mainly you Christians. Your pastors, they're going to present it in a way where it's a blessing that the Most High is behind it. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.